Okay. So we'll be talking about these 18-month certificate programs to help lead to high-paying careers. So once again, you don't necessarily have to have a PhD to be a doctor to make a lot of money. There are some other careers that you can get through certificate programs or shorter term programs. So we're going to talk about those. We kind of went over the agenda. So this is just kind of a fun, some career tips that I found interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. So here, let's have a listen.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Indeed's Career Tips series. I'm Sinead, and today I am sharing 4 tips to help you land a new job in a trade industry. Wait for it, without a degree. Yep, you heard that right. Jobs in trades can offer lucrative salaries, more flexible education requirements, and just an overall fulfilling career. And the best part is, the trade industry is versatile. No matter your interests, background, or what transferable skills you hold, you can surely find a trade job that fits your personality. Plus, you can typically make this change without a traditional 4-year degree. And be sure to stick around until the very end of the video for an insider tip on job applications. All right, let's talk trade jobs. Tip number 1, research different paths in the trade industry. There are 3 P's of the trade industry: paths, positions, and professionals. To research different paths, start by using resources like Google, Glassdoor, and of course, Indeed.com to thoroughly begin your research. You can try using searching phrases like trade jobs with no degree, trade jobs near me, trade jobs that pay well, or most in-demand trade jobs to begin learning more about the industry. There are so many fields within the trade industry, including industrial, like aerospace or engineering, medical, real estate, tech, and more. Each of these paths are unique, challenging, and gratifying in their own way. So let's move on to tip number 2. Explore different trade positions. Let's say that you've chosen to focus on healthcare. Create a search string or search phrase to find specific roles in healthcare. And be sure to take your individual situation into consideration. If your highest level of education is a high school diploma, include that in your search string. And if you have a relevant certification, include that info as well. Now, here is a pro tip. Use parentheses or quotation marks to indicate the portions of your search criteria that are required. This ensures your search results include your specified phrases. An example search string may look something like this: healthcare, high school diploma, CPR certified. This search string might yield role results like certified nursing assistant, medical aid, and paramedic. After browsing paths and identifying a few positions of interest, you're ready for tip number 3. Reach out to some professionals. Find out the good, the bad, and the ugly so that you're absolutely sure you're making the best decision for yourself. To do this, find industry professionals through social media platforms, company websites, and your personal network. So let's say that you want to be a general transportation technician, and you notice that your state is hiring. Awesome. Do you know anyone who is working in this role currently? If so, try reaching out to them. If not, navigate to your state's website and click on links that mention things like About Us, Publications, Media Center, or Learn More. Each section can give you insight on who's affiliated with the organization that you're interested in. Although this process seems thorough, it can pay off when citing what you found in an interview. People typically appreciate the research. It can illustrate that you take initiative, you did your homework, you're genuinely interested in being a part of the team, and you want to start the conversation. Taking the time to truly connect with someone can lead to so many wonderful possibilities. Finding a mentor, creating a friendship, or even landing a company referral. Never underestimate the power of people. When looking for a job, you should consider what requirements are most important to you. Consider factors that apply to your career and your lifestyle, personal responsibilities, and ultimate goals. Some common considerations include salary, work-life balance, professional environment, management style, and work schedule flexibility. And hey, if everything aligns, it may be time to take the next step towards applying. And before we move on to tip number 4, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, hit that notification bell to stay up to date every single week with Indeed's career tips. Moving on to tip number 4, prepare to invest. Whether you're transitioning into the trade industry, just getting started, or just unsure of where to start, give yourself plenty of time to invest in the process. Change typically takes time and sometimes money, let's be honest. But through your research, you'll learn which credentials are necessary for each position and whether or not you'll need to financially invest in landing a trade job. An easy way to find this information is to refer to the requirements and preferred skills section on each job posting. These credentials may involve earning a certification, acquiring a license or a registration, sometimes national and state, or completing an associate's degree, trade school program, or technical boot camp. So let's say that you want to get into real estate. To become a real estate agent, you must first earn a real estate license for the state in which you plan to sell. Each state has specific requirements and exams to earn a real estate license. You can research state requirements through online licensure sites like the CE Shop, Real Estate Express, Aceable Agent, and more. Many of these sites also provide resources for exam study and preparation, continuing education, and scheduling license exams, which is a great resource. But in short, this trade will require some form of investment. So credentials do vary depending upon the role, company, and industry that you're pursuing. Looking for a way to level up your certification game? Well, we got you covered with this video right up here. Just keep in mind that while gaining some of these credentials will put a pause on your spare time and expendable income, temporarily speaking, the payout could be significantly faster than that of a traditional 4-year degree. Sounds pretty sweet if you ask me. But truthfully, what kind of investment does your future call for? Which brings me to our 5th tip. Develop your personal brand. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, come on, Sinead, I don't actually have a personal brand. But hold up, because actually you do. Your experience, background, interests, and personality all define your personal brand. A strongly branded resume or professional profile that speaks to your relevant knowledge, accomplishments, and transferable skills can make you more discoverable. It can also increase visibility for your targeted audience. Let's focus on how to brand yourself on your resume and professional profiles. If you're targeting trade jobs in the tech field, you should mention this career pivot in your professional summary and give a brief mention on why you're changing your career. Maybe something like detail-oriented help desk professional seeking an entry-level customer support role within an IT department. Looking to apply my 5 years of customer service experience to a role that allows me to build rapport with a diverse group of people while solving complex technical problems. Use the education and skills section to highlight your credentials and newly cultivated use of software, programming, languages, and databases. And for those of you who may be transitioning to the trade industry, a functional resume could be a good resume format to showcase your transferable skills. Just see for yourself. You don't need a traditional 4-year degree to build a successful, rewarding, and fulfilling career. Instead, you could use these tips and try to find a job in the trade industry. Thank you all so much for tuning in with us. I'm Sinead and you're watching Indeed's Career Tips. Now, if you want more on career development, check out our playlist, or if you need support in defining your passions, be sure to check out our video also. We'll see you next time.
Customer service can make or break a business. So how can...
All right, so here we go. I just figured that was a really good, some tips. That last one is probably more for somebody who's maybe older in their field, but I just wanted to let you see that there are some really good tips. There's some really good ways to start searching some of these different careers, start searching things. If you do, I loved that. If you have your EMT or even maybe your CPR certification. So your high school diploma, once you graduate, and CPR certification, and some ideas can pop into your mind about a different job. And that the one that she found was the nurse's assistant. So It's just some really good ideas, some good tips. So this website right here, this is what I found that I just thought was really interesting. I kind of went down a rabbit hole last night. I was having a fun time just looking at all the different jobs. So I found this, and I just thought it was interesting. So these are the 11 high paying jobs in California, just so that you could kind of see, and none of them require a degree. That doesn't mean they don't require something else, like maybe a license or a credential or a certificate, but just not the traditional 4-year degree. So one of them is a police officer. So that's one that is a high school. Most police officer jobs require just a high school diploma. So that's the top one. There, this one I thought, wow, it's kind of seems like a lot, but nuclear power reactor operator. So makes a lot of money, and it does not require a 4-year degree. Boiler maker, that's kind of a fun one. Web developers. So the web developers, anything in the computer, that IT, a lot of times some real short-term education or certificates can go a really long way in the IT department. And you can tell here, I mean, that's a lot of money for a web designer. And that's the national average. And again, these are top jobs in California without a degree. Even a front desk manager, managing an office, if you're really organized and talented and helping people in the office, there's that. The distribution manager, that also has very high paying job. There's massage therapist, a tanker, the HVAC supervisor. So this is a supervisor. I mean, and look how much they make, $80,000. Wow. But even HVAC in itself, that's the heating, air conditioning, all of that. That is a huge trade that offers we're going to actually go into that one a little bit further, just because we have some students that are in that program. And we have a school kind of in our backyard here in Sacramento that offers an HVAC program for a really short-term investment, like she was talking about for an investment. A pilot, you don't have to have an actual degree to be a pilot. So there are some private places where you can go and get your pilot's license. The thing about the pilot, like she talked about, there's an investment. With pilot, there is an investment because you have to learn how to fly a plane, and it's not cheap. So some of the pilot training programs are pretty expensive, but again, you make good money when you get to be a pilot, and you don't have to go through years and years and years and years of college. She did talk about the real estate agent one, which there on this, there is a little blurb right here. When you learn more about real estate, I clicked on that, and there's how a day in the life of a realtor. It's about 4 minutes. I was going to watch it, but I think I'll let you guys, if you're interested in real estate. But it's kind of interesting because some of these jobs too, you could kind of work for yourself, or you could work for a company. So you have to kind of decide how you want to work. Do you want to work for yourself? So the real estate agent was very interesting because they work for themselves a lot of times because they work on commission of selling those homes. So when you click on here and you read about, or you listen to the day in the life of a real estate agent, he was talking about that. He's self-employed, and if some mornings he wakes up and doesn't want to work, then he doesn't work. But the payoff for that is that he doesn't get paid. So there you could kind of decide, how you want to do it. So those are just the top 11. There are 25 more. So they're all through here, which I thought were really interesting. Again, there's a correctional officer, which is a little different than a police officer. Again, more computer, restaurant manager, a dispatcher. So anything in that law enforcement, public service area, is very high. And like I said, a lot of times you don't need to pay for a degree. The dispatcher, I have a friend who just became a dispatcher, not in our state, but in Kentucky. And she said it's the absolute most fulfilling thing she's ever done. She go through a short certificate program. I want to say her dispatch program was maybe 8 months or less. It could have been less, but Anyway, she learned all kinds of things, and then she went to work and is doing great for herself. There's a lot of there's. I thought that one was funny. A tattoo artist. I talk to kids a lot that are artistic, and so that's a way that they would like to do their artistic abilities. Here's some more IT. Those ones are always pretty high paying. So that I thought was pretty interesting. So, and that was just really going out and just kind of Googling like high paying jobs that you need without a degree. So I thought that was kind of fun to show you what I found there. So when you're getting ready for your future and you're trying to figure it out, a really great place to start. So back in our day, like when I was a kid, or maybe my parents, we talked a lot about trade schools. So it was trade schools for this and trade schools for that. So whether it is through an auto mechanic or through a plumber, electrician, or cosmetology or construction, those used to be called, you had to go get a private trade, like you had to go to a trade school. These days, our community colleges have really kind of taken over that trade school. There are still private trade schools for sure, but our community colleges are a great way to start, at least kind of see what they have available. So and I'll talk about the other one here in just a minute, like just the trade schools. But if you click on this one, I'm going to click on this. The CCC stands for California Community Colleges. So when I go to that website, oh, this is just a really quick video that I thought was interesting about California Community Colleges.
They say there's one path to success. We say there are many. They say 4 years. We say maybe. They say debt. We say why. They say it's about individual achievement. We say it's about camaraderie and collaboration. They say this is how it's always been done. We say it's not the same world. Why do things the same way? California Community Colleges Career Education. Choose from over 200 different career programs, each providing the hands-on training and skills you need for the career you want, all on your terms. They say learn by learning. We say you also learn by exploring, collaborating, contributing, doing. California Community Colleges. Learn by doing.
All right. I just thought that was really true about California Community Colleges because it is so hands-on. They do have so they do have all kinds of different programs at the California Community Colleges, and they do call it career education. So that's what we're gonna kind of hit on today is that career education, which means you're not necessarily even getting an associate's degree. So remember, I think we talked about a few weeks ago or maybe last month, the difference between associate's degree and a certificate. So I'm talking about these certificates that you just go straight into that trade where you're not having to do the English, the math, the science, the history, all general ed to make a degree. You're just doing those specific trade classes. So when we click on this is the California Community College system. They have all kinds of ways to get that trade education. So when I look here, I'm on the right one. So they have even on here, I was just clicking around everywhere, but they even have on here different quizzes you can take about things that you like or things that you're interested in, and then it will even spit out some careers and some certificate education or career education certificates that you can get through the California Community College system. So when you scroll down here to the bottom, which is pretty cool, there are all kinds of different ways to find careers. You can put your career in right here. And then look at all the colleges in the state of California, a community college. You can, and these are again are all career education. So they're not necessarily a degree program, it's that certificate program. So I was kind of thinking, okay, what are some of our students doing, or how can we kind of look at this? And then I actually had an HST message me and say, do you know anything about working with the elderly? And maybe you can hit on that. So I thought, okay, what am I going to put in here? So I put geriatrics because that's working with the elderly. But I put in the word home health just to kind of see what pops up. And I search, and when you search that, what pops up is hold on. There we go. There was one on home health. So I clicked on it, and when I looked at it, this is showing the different colleges that have, obviously there's not a ton of colleges, so this one is down in the LA area, but look at how specific it gets on like working with the elderly. When I clicked on, let's see, one of these. Yes, this Imperial Valley College, they have what's called Care of the Elderly for the Health Assistant. So this is a certificate that this college has to offer. And so I think it's on my other page here. So here it was. So I clicked on this Imperial College. Again, this is in the LA area, but it is a specific certificate that is care for the elderly for the health assistant. So not just like a home health aide or a health assistant or a certified nurse's assistant. This is specifically for the care of the elderly. So when you kind of look through, you look at the program learning outcomes, it's a certificate of achievement. They talk a little bit about the salary, how much you make, the growth of this career. And then when you go down here kind of to the program map, it tells all the classes that you need to take for this certificate. So there's actually it's only an 11 unit certificate. So that's a lot less than 18 months. So that is actually like they have the map showing you take these 2 classes in the fall and these 2 classes in the spring, which you could probably speed that up even. But this was a great example to show what you can do if you kind of are specific about what you like. So if you really know that you want to care for the elderly, this might be a great option. The other option is anything in the health area, any type of certified nursing assistant. If you become a certified nurse's assistant, you can work with the elderly. So you can see that some of these certificates get extremely specific, which being only 11 units, you can certainly pile on your certificate. So maybe you get a certified nursing assistant, you get that certificate and that kind of license. And then you add to that this care of the elderly, because then that kind of gives you even more depth to what you're learning and different things that you can do. So that was that one. The other one that I thought was, the other way to use this website is you can also just put in the filter for the college. So I just picked randomly in our Sacramento area, a college. So I picked Sierra College, and this will pop up all different ideas at Sierra College. So of career education. So they have health, they have agriculture and environmental technologies, business and entrepreneurship. There's just all kinds of different things that you can pick out at Sierra College. So there's kind of both ways that you can use this website to find out about. The main idea is the career education. So you can use our California community colleges as your career education, which is pretty awesome. And that way you're not having to do the general education, the math, the science, and the history and the English and all of that. You might find that you still need the degree to do a job that you want to do. That's why I always say back into it. Instead of just going and getting an education, like, oh, got to go to college, got to get my 4-year degree, and then deciding what you want to do. If you decide what you want to do earlier, then you can decide what type of education you need to get there. So, for example, I met with a student not that long ago, and she wants to be a midwife, or they also call it a doula. And so we started looking at like, okay, if you want to do that, what's your next steps after high school? Is there a specialty program that you can do? We found one actually, which was pretty awesome. We found a private trade school. So it wasn't through the California community colleges. It was actually through a private trade school that you can become a midwife or a doula to help uh, give birth. So but what you did need is a bachelor's degree in nursing. So you still so she still has to get that degree. So you still have to get that 4-year bachelor's degree, but you can add on the special licensing to be a midwife or to be a doula. So it is important to kind of see what you want to do to then you can match your education with that. So I am going to go back. Hold on. I know it's a lot of back and forth today because I was just having fun with all the different websites that we found or that I found during this. So, another thing that I wanted to show you was the fact that we talked about the HVAC. So here I wanted to show you as well this heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So HVAC was one of those high paying jobs that you don't have to have a degree. And we have one of these right here at Sacramento City College in Sacramento, and it's the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning program. There is an associate's degree established with it, but there also is a certificate. So the certificate is Mechanical Electrical Technology Certificate. And so you look at the requirements in that certificate, and there's a lot. Look at that. There's 48 credits that you have to do. So the nice thing about some of these classes, you can start again while you're in high school. So I actually have 2 students working on this certificate right now. So they're in high school and they're working on this certificate right now. And when they graduate, they're going to be pretty close to having all 48 credits of these done. So this is a longer program. That 48 college credits is quite a long time. But for one, you can start it when you're in high school. And then for 2, you can get out of high school, finish up whatever you need to, and you're already in the field making good money with what you're having to do. So I thought this was a really good one. Another one, and it's funny because my friend just messaged me. I've been trying to get a hold of how they're doing their program. But so I have another student. She's actually a friend, but another student that has used the California Community Colleges. She went to Santa Barbara and she got her AA degree. She got it in allied health, but she knew that she wanted to be a sonographer. So that is that ultrasound technology. So she decided, and by the way, that was on our list of high paying jobs without a degree. But it did need a 2-year degree. So she did her 2-year degree, but then she realized she really wanted to be a specific ultrasound technician. It's called the general ultrasound technology. And once she got her AA, but then she went to a private school. So this is where you kind of decide, do you want to go to that private trade school? Or do you want to go to a California community college? So a lot of California community colleges offer, like for this student that I'm talking about for the sonography, the ultrasound technician. So she could have done that at a community college, but the wait list was super long. Like she tried to get in 2 separate semesters. She couldn't get in, so she was waiting and waiting and waiting, and she decided to go to a private trade school. So it's a school in Sacramento, and it is called, the school is called, she just texted it to me, so I'm super excited to learn more about it. It's called Gurnick Academy. So it's a medical academy, and it is a private trade school, so it does cost a lot more than, say, a community college would, but she is going to be in and out in 18 months. So she does not have to be on any wait list. She doesn't have to keep reapplying. She just goes straight there and she gets it done. So that's a really great thing about some of the private, when you're kind of looking at private versus public. These public community colleges are really, really great, but sometimes you have to wait a really long time to get through. So you have to decide, do you have more money or do you have more time? So that is something to think about in that area as well. So I thought too, it was really neat. This website is called I Can Succeed, and they have on here what's called the career in 2 years. So this lists so many different careers that you can get to in 2 years. So that 2 years is most likely an associate's degree. So maybe with a little bit more of that general education, so maybe not just a certificate, but maybe a little bit more education, you could get into some of these fields. So we've talked a lot about the medical field. So the medical field, I mean, I think a lot of people think, oh, in the medical field, you have to be a doctor. So I have to go to school for 8 years and have all this debt and all, this education, and nope, not doing it. Well, there are different ways to make really good money with a lot less education in the medical field. And the thing about the medical field is it's always going to be around. So everybody always needs help with medical. So medical is always going to be a job. You're always going to have a job if you get into that medical field. So look at all these different, I thought this was so interesting to look at all these different jobs underneath that medical profession that you do not need a 4-year or more degree. These are all 2-year degree programs. So there's the radiologic and the MRI technologist. That is what the student I was just talking about, hers is called an ultrasound technician. And she said, I'm just going to read it to you because I thought it was pretty awesome. So she said that she is, the school itself is very, very helpful. So the private school is super helpful and they're helping her get into the field and get a job. So that's kind of the difference too between maybe a public community college and then a private trade school, is that the private trade school a lot of times will have maybe more pull or more ways to get you into the field. But her degree is general ultrasound technology. And she said, once you graduate, you can sit for the board of exams to get your license. And you can get licensed in a lot of different things. Once you finish that general area of like the general ultrasound technology, then you could branch off into things like vascular or abdomen or the OBGYN or muscular skeletal or pediatric. So there's so much more that you can do with just one thing. So you can see all of these different jobs back here again under medical, the dental hygienist, there's the sonographer right there. I've had several students that are interested in sonography, personal care aides, that home health aides. So again, my student that wants to care for the elderly, being a home health aide, that's a great first place to start because then you can get some certificates under your belt and get into the work field and get some work under your belt. So information technology, here's that web developer. So remember that one made a lot of money. So you might think about different computer jobs if you're a computer person. So here's that air traffic controller. Do you know that we have one at Sac City? So Sac City College is right here in Sacramento. It is a community college, so you could basically go for free and you can get your air traffic controller license for free at Sacramento City Community College. And look at how much an air traffic controller makes. Wow, that's $122,000. So that's a lot of money. I have a lot of education. So I don't know, 6, 7 years of education. So a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, plus a PPS credential. So I have a lot of education. And let me tell you, this air traffic controller right here with 2-year degree is making more money than I'm making. So if that helps you kind of see that, oh, wow, that person can really make a lot of money with not very much education. So because we have this right here in our area at Sac City College, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I told a student about this. And do you know that I keep in touch with them? And he is going to this program. And I think he's about a year and a half in, and he's loving every minute of Sac City. And they reach out to me because I still have their sister on, or his sister on my caseload, but loving the program, loving the teachers, loving everything about it. And again, that education is free at the California Community College. So this one is a great one. I thought that was interesting. That was on there. Again, here's this radiation therapist, $80,000. That's a lot. The MRI technologist. Here's a computer programmer. Again, anything in those computers. Dental hygienist. I know I've talked to a lot of students about dental hygienists, and also Sac City Community College has a dental hygienist program as well. Again, that one might be where you kind of balance, do you have more time or do you want to invest more money? Because Sac City has that program, but it is impacted. So it's a wait list. So you either wait and try to get into that program, or you can do it privately, get in and out faster, and start getting into the world of work and making more money. So obviously they make really good money as well. Registered nurse. You don't necessarily need a bachelor's degree for that registered nurse, but a lot of times you're going to school for that whole time anyway. So take a few extra classes and get your bachelor's degree is my suggestion about that. Again, here's that medical sonographer, how much money they make. Police officer. Here's avionics technician. So Sac City also has that. They have the air traffic controller, and they have the aircraft aviation technician. So they have both of those jobs there at Sac City. Funeral service worker. As you can see, there is so many. Here was that HVAC installer. Again, we just looked at that. So I have some students right now that are going to finish this up. They're graduating, and I think they might have one more semester to get their HVAC right after they graduate. So right after they graduate from high school, they can potentially be making $45,000 a year right out of high school. So that's a pretty good job. So anyway, I thought that was really interesting to kind of look at all these different, there was 80, I think this one it said 80 at the top. Was it 80? Oh, I'm not sure if it was 80 or however many, but there's a lot. So there's a lot of options here of jobs that don't necessarily need that 4-year degree. All of these are 2 years. In 2 years, you can have one of these jobs.
Miss Michelle,
So,
excuse me, I'm
yes,
sorry to interrupt again, but if you could go back to where you were, because I've had many questions from students. I've been fielding a lot of questions. And
okay.
one in particular dealt with engineering. And as you were scrolling, I think I saw an electrical engineering position as you're scrolling down
Okay, let's see.
closer. So I thought if you could just highlight that. I know that there's at least one student here interested in that.
Let's see. Right there.
Here it is.
Electric. Yep. Electronic engineering technician. So I know that through our California community colleges, I know Sierra College has some of this. Sac City College has some of this, where, let's see, we just look right at it here. It's working directly with the physical technology of electronics. So again, that little short video that we watched about community college and that hands-on experience, I just thought that was such an awesome video, because that's what this is. You are getting into this area and you're right away getting hands-on. So you're doing the engineering, you're doing the electronics. These professionals help design a wide range of equipment, including navigational devices, electrical components, medical technology, communication tools. So with the right associate's degree, somebody can field for both the government or private companies. So that's kind of interesting too. There's a lot of job. Oh, and I know, I believe Sac City has one. I think at Sierra College, we looked at they
Mechatronics.
have a mechatronics one. Yes. I was going to say metabolics, but I was like, wait, no, B is not in there. So the mechatronics program there, they're building all kinds of stuff. They have robots. They have, learning how to work on the machines, learning how to use the machines, learning all this engineering stuff. So I think that that is really awesome because to be like an engineer, if you're an electrical engineer or a water engineer, you're talking a 4-year degree or more. Mary, your husband, I think, is in that area where, I mean, he's got a lot of education, and engineering is you have to have a lot of education to be in the engineering realm. But if you know, like, I just don't see myself doing 4, 5, 6, 7 years in college to be an engineer. There is these technicians that are the engineering technicians that work right alongside those engineers, and they still make really good money. They go right to work instead of going to school for years and years and years. They're going right to work, making good money. So it is a really good idea to look into what other things besides an engineer that has to have a lot of education, or do you want to be an engineer technician where you're still making good money and you're still in the field, but you just don't have to invest in so much education? That's kind of it. That's what I was kind of getting at in that medical realm. Oh, I think it was a different website, but the medical realm where you don't have to be a doctor to be into the medical. There's a lot of other things to do. Yeah, Mary, was there other questions that maybe on this site that if people were interested in?
Well, there were so many questions and I was going through. I think I responded there. Our I'm not going to mention names, but our darling student who is always interested in welding was asking
Yes.
again about welding. So I think we put that
Okay.
in there. Some
Yes.
students who were interested in the healthcare, and I told them Miss Wendy had pointed out about the Folsom Lake CT and MRI tech program.
Yes.
And
Yep.
so there have been lots of questions like that. And I'm sure you're going to say this too, Miss Michelle, but please, students, talk to your counselor
Yes.
because all of your searches are going to be individualized for you. And we love doing this, spending time with you and doing some research. So
Yes.
if I didn't get to your specific question, please make an appointment with your counselor.
Yes, absolutely. And that is so true. Because honestly, we learn new things every day as well. Like I had never had a student say they wanted to be a doula. I had to actually figure out what that was. So, I mean, I had heard it before, but it's basically a fancy name for a midwife. But we sat down together, her and I, and we started researching and coming up with all these different things and different ideas. And so there is so much out there. That's why, like, it wasn't like, okay, I'll pick 5 or because there's just so much. There's so much out there, and you get on these rabbit trails of learning so much about different things. And so I think if you are interested in something, meeting with your counselor and saying, this is kind of what I'm thinking. What careers attached to that? And we can start to find all kinds of different ideas and different ways to help students get into that. So the HST that asked me about their student that wanted to go into working with the elderly, working with like geriatrics, I just feel like there's so much where you could start again. I think piling on those certificates is really a great idea. Like getting your certified nurse's assistant, getting a home health certificate, getting the aging, helping with the elderly certificate. Like adding your certificates sure makes you well-rounded worker that you're going to be in high demand if you have all of these different trainings that you can be doing. So there's that's what I kind of put here. There's something for everybody. So just kind of find what you would like to do and don't get scared thinking, I want to be in the medical world, but I cannot go to school and get my doctorate for like, 8 years. Or I want to be in engineering, but I'm not fabulous at calculus, and I don't know that I can get through 4, 5, 6 years of college. So there's other ways. So don't just think, oh no, I can't do anything in the engineering field. There is so much in the engineering field you can do with only a 2-year program. Okay. And same with medical. There's so much you can do in medical that you don't have to be a nurse or a doctor. So I just want you to come away with that as the biggest takeaway is that there are all kinds of programs out there, and a little bit of work can go a really long ways in helping you be successful in the career field. Okay. And so thank you so much for joining us this week. We can stop recording, and so if anybody